Hi, I'm Dr. Jeffrey LeBenger. At Summit Medical Group, we believe that all citizens need to be informed about the important healthcare issues that affect their lives. That's why we're very proud to support important programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation.
This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Summit Medical Group, a multi-specialty medical practice providing comprehensive care from birth and pediatrics to geriatric care, concentrating in general wellness, cancer treatment, disease management, and behavioral health. Georgian Court University. Choose New Jersey. Our mission is attracting companies to the Garden State. New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation. Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey. NJM Insurance Group. And by New Jersey Resources. Promotional support provided by Insider NJ. And by ROI-NJ, informing and connecting businesses in New Jersey.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Welcome to the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of New York City. I'm Steve Adubato, but way more important than that is our honor, our pleasure to introduce a real artist who been making a difference for a long time for a lot of people, Michael Imperioli. He's the author of a book called The Perfume Burned His Eyes. Won an Emmy, okay, with the cast of a little show called Sopranos. Like many others, by the way, people talk all day. In Goodfellas, the scene, I watched it 18 times just leading up to this. I won't make a big deal, I promise. Your Spider, Joe Pesci, who clearly is stable, did what he did, shot you in the foot, the whole thing. When that happens, and you're in that movie with those guys, this incredible cast, De Niro, Pesci, and Ray Liotta and others, how old were you?
22. Oh.
Intimidating?
Oddly enough, it wasn't. My first experience behind the camera was a year before on another movie called Lean on Me, directed by John Avildsen, who did the first Rocky. That was way more intimidating.
By the way, who was the director of
Goodfellas? a guy you might have heard of him, Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, go ahead.
But the first movie, the director he was overwhelmed. There was like 1,000 kids in this auditorium, and it was, there were a lot of people in the scene, so I didn't really get a lot of attention, and he was rushed and under pressure. But Marty treated me like an actor, man, from day one, and was just very welcoming and introduced me to everyone and said, if you need anything, you come knock on my door on the trailer, and you got questions.
Wow.
I mean, he only knew me from the audition. He hadn't never seen anything I had done. I hardly had done anything at the time, but he just had so much respect. And so did the other actors. He treated me like an actor, which he didn't have to do. But I think that's what his genius is, because that's how you get a good performance. You make somebody feel comfortable. You make them feel relaxed, so they can open up and be creative and take chances, which is what you want to have.
That's real talent.
And he did that for me.
By the way, Michael wrote 5 episodes of The Sopranos. He's a writer. He's, as I said, an artist, a director. This book, The Perfume Burned My Eyes, set the scene for us. In 1970...
76.
Go ahead.
This is a 16-year-old boy named Matthew who lives in Jackson Heights, Queens. And in a 6-month period, he loses his father and his grandfather, his 2 main male role models. And his mother goes into a depression and inherits some money from the father that she didn't really know he had, because they were a very blue-collar, working-class family. And she just decides to move to the Upper East Side of Manhattan in kind of a doorman, fancy apartment building with this kid who suddenly is this fish out of water. And living in the building is the great Lou Reed, who is in kind of a crazy period of his life. He was doing a lot of amphetamines and staying up for days, but also very creative. It was a very creative period as well. And Lou and the kid strike up this friendship, basically, and almost becomes this replacement father figure for the kid as he navigates the totems of manhood that he encounters.
To also be clear, you had a connection to Lou Reed at a...
I did, yeah. I met him, well, we became friends in around 2000.
Okay.
I lived in the Village in my early 20s, and so did he, and I used to see him around. I was a big fan, but we didn't know each other. I mean, he didn't know who I was or anything, but after The Sopranos hit, he was doing a concert, and I wound up going through his publicist and getting tickets, and after the show, the publicist said, Lou wants to meet you, which I didn't even know he knew I was there, and he was great. He was kind and generous. He was a fan of what we were doing, and he made a big impact on me. So I'd started writing this book just about this 16-year-old kid. You know, my son was 16 at the time, and I wanted to write about that frame of mind.
I have a 16-year-old right now.
Yeah, it's a specific thing, and it's not about my son or anybody, but I wanted to write about that. 3 months after I started writing the book, Lou died. And that hit me as a fan and as an artist and as a friend, and somehow the idea came to put him into the story.
It's powerful. And it's interesting. It strikes me, and I could be wrong about this, Michael, that you are fascinated by people who, such a cliche, they move to their own beat. They have their own unique way of doing things, and they don't really care that much about what others think of them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Is that you?
Yeah, and being kind of an outsider, you know, often just feeling.
Where'd you grow up, by the way? I'm sorry.
I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, and then in Brewster, New York for a couple of years, then in Mount Vernon again. But I really grew up here in Manhattan because I spent all of my time in Manhattan from the time I was 17. So this is kind of where I really learned everything.
But acting, music, because you play the guitar.
When I was a teenager.
So you're here in Manhattan at 17.
Yeah.
Are you saying to yourself, I'm going to be in the arts? And
yeah.
That was it. And you knew that when?
17, yeah. I started taking acting class at Lee Strasberg on East 15th Street. And, you know, when you start out as an actor, because that's really what my first focus was, you have to be really deluded about your own talent.
What does that mean?
You have to think your talent is so special that you're going to succeed in this business that's virtually impossible to succeed in. So you really do, because there's an enormous amount, for me and for a lot of my colleagues, an enormous amount of rejection in the beginning. I went on audition after audition that you got in the trade newspapers, which I don't even know if they have today, for plays that didn't pay any money, and you'd show up on a Saturday morning, there'd be 300 people there waiting to audition. And, you know, I did that for a long time. And so you have to have a really kind of warped sense of your own worth and ability, because otherwise...
And a thick skin.
Very
incredibly
thick.
thick.
Well, that's part of it. So the thick skin comes because you have to have a real strong belief in yourself.
Yeah. The other thing that's fascinating, and again, by the way, to promote, if you mind if we let people know the name of the book again?
Sure.
It is, in fact, Michael's book is called The Perfume Burned His Eyes.
That's from a Lou Reed lyric, actually.
Yeah.
The title, yeah.
And by the way, Joyce Carol has said some great things about this. The reviews are super. Help me on this, Jen Eichlin, our executive producer. We've interviewed several of your former colleagues from The Sopranos. And one of the themes that kept coming out, and I don't know if I had this right or not, is that there was a real connection, personal, human connection. I don't know if it was the fact that disproportionate number of Italian Americans, similar backgrounds, but the way they talked about James Gandolfini was really special, and that he was a real key to that family, and that his loss was not just we lost a colleague, we lost someone who was part of our family and friend. That's real?
Well, The Sopranos was very unique, and there were a couple of things that happened. A bunch of us knew each other from other projects. There was a lot of people who were in Goodfellas, who were in a lot of the Spike Lee movies, which I had done, several other plays and movies. I knew Edie, I knew Vinnie Pastore, I knew Tony Sirico, I know Johnny Ventimiglia, I knew Federico Castellucci. I knew a lot of these people.
Right.
So now we're all on this show, and it becomes a hit. So this, and a lot of us had been kind of in the trenches for many years, trying to climb the ladder of the show business or whatever. So now we all experience this hit together. I did not know Jim, and a lot of us didn't. But he was the central character. He worked more than any of the other actors, pretty much. And he was also like the captain of the team, you know. He was like the Lou Gehrig or the Derek Jeter, and he looked out for everybody, both behind the camera
And financially, I heard. Did he fight?
And financially, well, he was an extremely generous guy. He would find out about like some woman who's getting evicted or couldn't pay her mortgage, and he'd send someone over a check completely anonymously. And he saved a lot of people and helped a lot of people who probably to this day never know he did that.
Wow.
And strangers, he'd read stuff in the newspaper. And then he'd tell somebody, he'd write a check and he'd go, give this to this person, and it would be completely anonymous. He'd do a money order or whatever he did. And to this day, probably these people don't know that James Gandolfini paid off their mortgage or paid their rent or whatever he did. He did that a lot. And obviously, when you're doing stuff like that anonymously, there's humility that goes with that. And
Before I do this mini-series that I'm watching with my wife right now that you're in, you play Governor Cuomo in a 3-part series. It's called?
7-part.
I'm sorry, we're on the third. I'm on the third part. That's in my head. Escape at Dannemora.
Directed by Ben Stiller, yeah.
Yeah. Being Christopher Moltisanti, how much of your life during that incredibly powerful, I can't imagine, period, were people not getting that this is Michael Imperioli?
I think that still happens.
Still?
Yeah, I think that still happens. I think to a lot of people, when they saw The Sopranos, they kind of thought we were like Jersey Shore, like a reality show, like they found us in the mall or something.
Not a group of artists.
That we had been doing this for many years, and I think so. Part of that's maybe a testament to the authenticity of the show. Like people probably seem like they knew us, and I get that, both in the story and in the portrayals and in the locations, and they related, and especially here in the New York, New Jersey, metro area, and among Italian Americans and stuff.
This 7-part series, Escape at Dannemora.
Yeah.
It's the prison escape. I don't want to give away too much, but you play Governor Cuomo.
Yeah.
By the way, why do you play? Governor Cuomo's he's legitimately involved in the real life situation, right? You play him.
Right.
Is it filmed? Where's it filmed?
They
or
filmed.
Not say that.
No, they filmed. I think they filmed in the yard at Dannemora, which was very tough to do, and they had some assistance, I guess, from the state government. But I think they built the stuff that I shot. They built the sets out in this California store in Queens, and then for other exterior parts, we shot at a prison down in Pittsburgh.
This is an interesting story.
But I got to hang with the governor.
You did.
Spoke to him extensively about the prison break and why he did what he did and why it was important and what he was hoping to do as governor and to take care of this problem, because it's a very serious thing. Prison break, prison uprisings, those are, recipes for disaster.
Michael, you were around Governor Cuomo a lot. Before I let you out of here, I'm curious. We do a little bit of politics, talk a little bit about
Which kind of politics?
The politics of our culture today, political discourse. Are you intrigued by politics?
Of course.
Do you see yourself potentially, because people could become president who've done all kinds of things before they were president.
No, not.
Yes.
Absolutely no interest.
Zero, none.
No. I like what I do. I don't have the experience. I think people need experience to run for president. I think it's real, or run for office or stuff like that.
Experience in
politics or in government or in law or something. I think just because you own buildings and are on TV doesn't qualify you at all, which there's no better evidence than what's going on now. Jesus.
Thank you, Michael.
Cuomo's a lifer in politics and in government and stuff, and it shows.
And I wanted to say this, that when you watch our Open, you see Christopher Cuomo, who has been with us many times, and the late Governor Mario Cuomo. I will say this, it was 2000, it was literally 2000. It was by far the most compelling interview I've ever done, no disrespect to you or anyone else. The highlight of my career still.
Mario.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great guy.
Best.
Great governor.
Michael, thank you.
Thank
you honor
you.
us here at Public
Fantastic.
Broadcasting, and thank you for all of your work and the work that you will continue to do.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Michael Imperioli in the house. This is One-on-One from the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Lincoln Center. Be right back.
To see more One-on-One with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
You can't keep her off public television. We got her back. She is Karen Hunter, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, host of the Karen Hunter Show, SiriusXM Radio, 3 to 6 p.m. every day. How you doing, my friend?
I am awesome. I am. Really awesome.
By the way, every time I check out your show or are lucky enough to be on your show, the conversation is compelling, an overused word, but true, provocative, and makes people think. What are you trying to do?
Change the world? Make it better than I found it?
Yeah.
Isn't that all of our, shouldn't we all be trying to do that?
That's the conversation you and I had the other day,
Yeah.
so I'm going to get right into it. And when I was doing Karen's show, we were like, hey, why is it that it seems so hard for us, even if we have different political points of view, which you and I have on some things, we agree on others, to be civil and respectful to each other? Why is it so darn hard?
I don't know. I think people aren't being raised. You know, you and I are same generation. There were expectations in our homes. Our families probably ate dinner together. You know, there was conversation. I know I couldn't bring home anything less than a B. I know that I had to say please and thank you. If my mother called me, I couldn't say what. That my whole mouth area would be someplace else.
Understood.
What? Just if I forgot and said what, that was a problem. And you know, there was a level of decorum where you knew how to behave outside of the home, you know, as well. You know, we kind of knew the rules. Today, I think people aren't raised. I think they're not raising children. They're raising friends and probably coddling too much because they feel bad. And, you know, we're not challenging our young people and our older people to be better.
So when it came to the question of, or comes to the question of political discourse, which you and I discussed, I said to you, and I'll say it here, that one of the struggles I have is that there are a fair number of friends I have back in Jersey, which you know better than most, right, who are supportive of Donald Trump, and that's their right. It's a beautiful thing about this country. And that's not the issue. The issue is you cannot get into a discussion with many of my friends, and you know who you are, family, others. Because if you raise an issue that's not even political, but it's about name-calling, it's about misogyny, it's about calling a woman a name by her based on her physical appearance, by mocking someone, ridiculing someone's war record and saying they're not a hero, and just the horrible things that are said. And I said, you know, we would, if our sons or daughters acted that way, we know what we would do. And they're like, oh, that's just talk. I'm into the policy. You say? You know what I'm talking about. Don't look at me like,
I'm saying,
they'll say that's just him talking.
Right. And even if that were the case, right? Like, the president is the statesman, right? He's the representation of America, right? Not just here, but to the world.
That's
and we're
right.
seeing how that's playing out right now, how the world sees us as a result of a president who has no decorum, no humanity, very little humanity, no self-awareness, thinks he's the smartest person in the room, which if you think that, you're already, you know, behind. Because, you know, one of the great things about being really smart is knowing that you don't know a lot, right? That there's so much that you don't know.
You ask a lot of questions, you're curious.
So that you could pull a lever and support not just the behavior, Steve, it's beyond the behaviors, the representation of America. Is this who we are? And so that's the question that I put on the table.
And the other part of this, because your audience is a mixed, diverse audience, but urban.
Urban, whatever that is. Yeah, let's say black.
Urban.
Let's say black.
I'm from Newark. I could say urban, but it is disproportionately black.
Yeah.
Do you think that Donald Trump, as our president, he is our president, has any meaningful ability to connect with the African-American community?
I don't think he has any meaningful ability to connect with anybody with a soul, right? So even people who support him, I have to ask them, how's your health care? You know, are your steel jobs really coming back? The coal jobs, are they coming back? These tariffs, how are they impacting farmers? We have to subsidize, and then there's a negative backlash because we're subsidizing farmers, now other things are faltering.
Hold on, Karen. Sorry for interrupting. You're not saying that if someone voted for or supportive of Donald Trump, they quote unquote do not have a soul.
I'm saying that you're not paying attention to the things that may matter to you, right? Unless you're the 1% and you need a tax break for your jet, because that's who's really benefiting, right? So inheritance taxes and things like that, right? You own corporations. You're doing really well. Actually, I'm doing well financially. My accountant said next year you're going to do well. This is going to be a great year for you. And I'm like, good. But I still think that there are more important things in my bottom line. And so if your bottom line is the most important thing to you, I'm going to question your soul and your humanity. I just have to.
So if we talk about, we're not a horse race show, you know that. There are
Right.
too many other shows that are doing that. But 2020, there will be a lot of Democrats lined up. You've interviewed some of them. You know many of them. There will be others we don't know. Is there a chance there'll be so many Democrats lined up in 2020 that beat the heck out of each other in a primary?
Well, one could argue that's what happened with Republicans and we got Trump. So maybe we'll get the absolute worst possible. Maybe there'll be a Michael Avenatti ticket.
I'm not so sure right now.
Yeah, he argues that, this is good for him. But anyway.
That's not the story. But
we're living in a place where you would think that about Trump, right? Like with everything that he had, his baggage was heavy. It was worse than anything Santa Claus could haul down a chimney, right? Not just the wives and the cheating and the commentary and the lawsuits and the porn stars and the Playboy bunnies and,
and
and
Access Hollywood. Hey, listen, on this bus with Billy Bush, how do you even get past that?
I don't know. Thank you, because we had the absolute worst candidate ever running against him, and not from a human standpoint, because I think she would have made a fantastic president.
Not appealing.
She could not relate to too many people for it to matter, right? So
anyone jump out? Sorry for interrupting.
No.
Anyone jump out at you in the Democratic field that you say, hey, he or she?
Here's my ticket.
Go ahead.
Perfect ticket, and it's not a perfect ticket. This is a ticket that can win. Joe Biden at the top. Kamala Harris as vice president.
From out in California, Senator Harris.
So you got Joey, blue collar, roll up your sleeves, white man who can get in the ring and battle Trump verbally. They're about the same age, but Joey's got a little bit more street credibility. Trump hasn't even waged any battles at all. Matter of fact, President Bone Spurs, as I may call him from time to time, refuses to fight for this country. Joey has a different background. He's got a son that just passed away.
Yeah, horrible.
that will have America's heart. And Kamala Harris, you have, the California, the race, the black woman thing, even though, she's, of course, half Indian. But I think that's even appealing. And I see Joe Biden coming in. This is my dream. He wins the presidency. Then he says, you know what? I'm tired.
And then what?
And taps out. She becomes president. That's my dream.
And then you go to the cabinet?
No, I want no parts.
Your gig's too good.
No, not only is my gig too good, I think politicians, they lose a part of anything that they want to do that's good. I'm listening to Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, and you realize how much sacrifice there is, not just of your personal life and other things, but you sacrifice and you have to, change your ideals to compromise them, because that's what a real politician is
about. That's not Karen Hunter.
Never. I could never compromise the things that I want to get done and accomplish. I couldn't do it. Yeah.
Time I left, I'm curious about this. I asked you about this, and you give me the same answer all the time. You're optimistic.
You know what? I thought about that when I was coming here today. I'm less optimistic than I was the last time
you told me you have to be.
After Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi.
You're talking about the midterms.
Yeah. I was so disappointed in this country that you could vote for a woman that said she would show up to a public hanging, who couldn't articulate any policy that would be beneficial to Mississippi, that is in the bottom 5 of just about every category from healthcare to education. You would pull a lever for her. I was like, what is going on here?
And Gilliam's loss was powerful for you.
It was painful, but it was bittersweet, because he was 5th when I went to Florida. We did a voter registration drive last year.
You did.
He was in 5th place. And I went to Florida twice. And so I feel like responsible for him getting that far. I'm just going to take credit for it. But an incredible human being.
Yeah.
That he got that far. How many people voted with the voter suppression, with all of the shenanigans that happened? They had to recount. So I'm still optimistic, and more than 1 million people, former felons, got their voting rights back in Florida. So Florida's a mixed bag of nuts.
Still optimistic.
Yeah, still. Not as, but still. I pray this generation, you're raising beautiful children. And I teach at Hunter, and this scarf is actually from one of my older students. I had a 76-year-old student who gave me the scarf. She didn't think I was dressed properly. So shout out to you, Pat Johnson. But
That is John Johnson.
John Johnson's ex-wife.
Right.
Yeah.
A few seconds, go ahead.
Yeah. But I see the young people, and they don't care as much about race. They don't care much about all of the things that we seem to put a lot of importance on, and they're super smart. This generation, the Parkland generation, they're going to save us. So I'm optimistic about the future.
Karen, I love having you.
I love you.
I love you being my friend.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, brother.
She's good.
You're better.
We'll see you. No, get out of here. We'll see you next time.
One on One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One on One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Summit Medical Group, Georgian Court University, Choose New Jersey, New Jersey Sharing Network, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, NJM Insurance Group, and by New Jersey Resources. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
Hi, I'm Judge Michael Giles. As a trauma surgeon, my son, Randy, saved lives every day of his career. When he unexpectedly passed away at the age of 43, Randy continued to save lives as an organ and tissue donor. The New Jersey Sharing Network was with us when Randy gave the gift of life. They are committed to saving lives through organ and tissue donation and educating the public about the importance of donation and transplantation.